Yetta, can you guide me to a strong male relationship? I'm really missing another strong male relationship.
I can't. I haven't been down that road. Not my thing.
You have a strong male relationship with me, but it's not male to male.
Yeah, but not male to male. I can't do it.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
So we're excited that we've created for you free access to over 503 Life's Inside Track episodes where we share insider tips, tricks and tips. And I don't like the word trick, so when I say it, it makes me crazy every time. Anyway, where we share lots of insight around real estate, how to make wealth, generational legacy, really lots of insight that we all need, we all deserve. And the great news is we can get access to them from home, from the office, or on the go. So we're going to discover in this episode. What are we going to discover, Ken?
Really, it's just not about advice. It's about what their experience is. Experience makes the difference.
Right. First-hand experience.
Yeah. Like they call it the theory of the tried and true.
Right.
It's not really a theory, is it? If it's tried and true.
Right. And so we're going to unpack that a little bit and discover some insights around that this episode. But we're also going to get the reality that just because it worked for me, it may not work for you. So my experience does not mean it's going to be your experience. And it may give you some insight that you couldn't otherwise have gleaned without listening to somebody else's experience.
Wow, that's a neat twist on it. My experience doesn't necessarily mean it'll be your experience. That's why I'm repeating it. That was deep.
That was deep?
Yeah, because even if, let's say we're talking relationship, marital relationship, our experience may not be someone else's experience because they're different people. And even though we may give them what worked for us, it may or may not work for them, kind of like our yield bottle where we spray each other with water if we trigger and react incorrectly. That may not work for everybody.
Right. Not everybody wants to feel like they're a cat today.
Yeah.
Right.
But we giggle and laugh and it snaps us out of it.
Right. Because we have to meet at fun. Because if we don't get to fun, someone is going to get hurt.
Yeah, it's usually me.
Oh, that's not even true. Okay, we're not going to start this right now. And what's interesting is although what my experiences may or may not effectively work for you, they were still going to give you some indication of things that worked for us and things that you might want to experiment with and try. The thing that we're going to caution you with, and because it's been our learning, because in the past I would take counsel from people or advice or hire a guide, even a coach, but they'd maybe had, and there's nothing wrong with this per se, but they may have had numerous marriages and they're telling me, and I can remember one very specifically, she said, stop expecting him to change. You can't expect something to work differently than it's worked for 40 years. That's just not truth. That can't happen. And that was really bad relational counsel because it did change and it did work for us, but she'd never had longevity in a relationship long enough to know whether that was true or not.
Yeah, I think she was on her third marriage.
Yeah, third or fourth. Yeah.
So, yeah, like someone that's had 3 or 4 marriages, they typically know what doesn't work.
Like so clued into that, right?
But if I want a long and stable marriage, I might just want to go to somebody that has sage and has been married for a long time happily.
Right. And it doesn't matter. We don't want to belabor the marriage conversation, but we're saying in anything. If you're going to a business coach that's maybe had 6 or 7 careers or even 3 or 4, and you want to figure out how to navigate through a long-standing business experience. You don't want a lot of careers in your lifetime. You want to stay with one. You might want to get some of the insight and guiding from somebody that's been on a similar path.
Or let's say you're struggling with your relationship with your mother or your sibling or your child. It would be great to have someone help you who maybe went through similar experience. That's the tried and true. and has come out the other side with a great relationship with that person.
Right. And even your relationship with money. Like, we're talking more people relationship here, but I can't help myself. But why are you laughing?
I'm laughing because you went to business relationship and then now you're going to money relationship. It's kind of funny. It's a relationship show, but I love where you're going. You're going down tangents. It's good. Tangents is a math thing, by the way.
Okay. So in relation to money, the relationship we have with money actually affects the relationship we have with people. So if we're getting guidance from somebody that has been single all their lives and never had to navigate money and a long-standing, whether business partnership or marriage partnership, it may not be the best person to get money guidance from.
Right.
Did you like how I managed to spin that around to make sense?
And I was talking with a client the other day, and they were talking about giving away too much money to people who are in need. And I said, sometimes you're enabling them to make poor choices because, they have a job, but they were struggling to pay the rent. Well, it's not because they didn't bring in enough money. It's because they chose to spend the money on something different than rent.
Right. So you want a guide that has, as we talked about previously, that has similar core values. Because if you believe that you should just help people because they need help, but not be responsible for the way you give the help, then that's not going to fit with you if you see it differently.
Yeah. And then I would like to say, you want to pick someone that's the same, and this is difficult, the same in their house as they are in the outside. And that's one thing that many people who have joined us in our home and our family relationships, and the way we connect with people, they've said, wow, you know what? It's identical at home as it is when you talk. In other words, your shoe in your tongue in your shoe matches the tongue in your mouth. And recently we had a little struggle. We had a blip in our relationship. Not that, let me say that properly. We had a disagreement and it got heated and went the wrong direction for, about a day or so. And it was funny because you reached out to one of your friends.
Right. So I was actually doing it. Right. I was actually doing a weekly book club that I'm part of. And so we always start with, before we go on air, we start with our celebrations and our wins and what's working for us so that it moves us forward. And so I knew it was my turn and I thought, it's been a rough weekend. This is Monday morning and Sunday and Saturday were a little intense and probably the roughest we've had in a while. And so I thought, what on earth? How on earth am I going to say this and still move forward? So I simply said, Ken and I discovered many, many more things that don't work relationally for us. And she started howling. And later that day, because I understood what I was doing, I did it with intention. I called her and I said, you didn't seem worried. Like you didn't come alongside. You didn't call me and say I was okay. You didn't check in. And she goes, I knew, based on knowing how you work through things, you two, that you were going to be better than ever. Just give it a little bit of time. And so working with somebody that as a guide that has resiliency, where you want resiliency, is an important, essential element.
Thanks for the privilege of growing alongside with you, because we're passionate about all of us being positioned for generational legacy.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward.